If you haven't seen our first video on Darksiders, go check it out, or the rest of this isn't going to make sense. Otherwise, enjoy the video. I need to know what happens next. Can I help you?
Have you seen my brother War? I've been looking for him.
He was here a little bit ago, but he has some business to attend to. But it wasn't sexual business.
Sexual business? That horny bastard was lying. Is there anything missing from your domain? Anything that would help him conquer a lover?
Ah, damn it! He took my bottle of lube! What am I gonna tell Mifa now?
No more Mifa's grace for you. Haha, God, I'm so funny.
Hey, listen, is this you on the cover?
Yeah, why?
Are you sure?
Cut me some slack. I haven't been in a game in a while.
Well, can you just tell me how it ends? I need to know what happens. I've been waiting forever.
Why don't you just play the game out yourself?
I'm scared.
Why would I help you when you were the one who made a video about Darksiders being a Zelda clone?
You saw that?
Of course I did. I'm subscribed to the RadKatz channel with notifications turned on. I even commented on your video calling you a hypocrite, Peter Pan.
Sorry, I've changed my mind. It's not cloning. It's borrowing good ideas. It's like sharing a cup of sugar with your neighbor.
Oh, fine.
Yes!
But just the short version.
Short version? Where do you have to be? You haven't been in a game in years.
I gotta get a haircut. There's a few shorties out back that are dying for some attention. Alright, Tinkerbell. Sit back, relax, and enjoy this loaded with spoilers video on Darksiders 2.
Darksiders 2 is the sequel to, you guessed it, Darksiders, which was released back in 2012, and the Deathinitive Edition in 2015. That is the version we're talking about today. In this second installment of the Darksiders series, we follow a different horseman named Death, who is a complete and total badass. Death has a very sarcastic personality and has no problem being sassy. The story in this one goes as follows. In the beginning, it tells the tale of how the horsemen became the horsemen. There was a war for Eden. Demons had hell, and angels had heaven. But the Nephilim, which is the race of the four horsemen, wanted Eden. Death and the other three horsemen fought against their brethren, killing all of them, and Death killing the last one, Absalom. Death, however, defied the council by keeping all of his dead brethren's souls in an amulet that he gave to the Keeper of Secrets. Then Darksiders 1 happens, so Death is wanting to save his brother War, who is imprisoned by the Charred Council. Death believes War is innocent and wants to find a way to save him. He talks to the Crowfather and learns he needs to get to the Tree of Life so he can get to the Well of Souls and essentially resurrect humanity. Crowfather also tells Death to take the amulet back. Death refuses, they fight, Death kills him, and then the amulet shatters and is embedded into Death. A lot happens really quick, and then Death is portaled away to a new land. Darksiders 2 is different from the first one in many ways, but the one I noticed right off of the bat is the movement and the combat that I instantly fell in love with. Death is a wielder of dual scythes, which are super sick. Some of the moves that he performs with these scythes as you are slaying your way through enemies are awesome. It feels like Death moves a lot faster than War does and is more fluid and methodical with his fighting. The movement in this game feels really good, especially when you are parkouring your way around each level and dungeon. The platforming elements throughout this game were so much fun for me, making you feel awesome as you scale your way across ledges or up walls and buildings, from wall running to wall jumping. Another element that is very different in this game is the ability to pick up better items along your journey, from different types of armor pieces to better scythes and awesome secondary weapons. Your secondary items include big hammers, claw arms, maces, axes, and much more. Some weapons like the big hammers or axes are very slow but do a lot of damage, while weapons like the claws are much faster but deal less damage. You can sell different equipment items you pick up along the way to merchants for money, which is also different from the first game. Instead of using souls as your currency, you get actual coins in this game. You can pick up coins from chests, dead enemies, and like mentioned before, selling items, which is probably the fastest way to get a lot of money. There are also items that are possessed, in which you can sacrifice other items to upgrade the possessed item, making it even more powerful, literally turning Death into an unstoppable force. Death also levels up and has a skill tree you can put points into. You can upgrade Death's fighting ability, and you can upgrade his necromancing ability, which came in handy throughout my playthrough. You summon 3 ghouls that fight for you, and depending on what you choose to upgrade can do much more. You just need to pay attention to your wrath bar because summoning them uses it. You can also turn into a Grim Reaper form, which is similar to War's demon form, that is pretty powerful and can be used in combat. In this game, you don't really fight angels or demons. I mean, you do in certain sections, but throughout most of the game, you instead fight what is called corruption, which has taken over the Tree of Life and other various parts of different realms you visit. It's very similar to Breath of the Wild's Calamity. The game's RPG elements were a lot of fun for me, really giving the customization and playstyle over to the player. Like in the first game, you can get main items that assist you throughout your journey, such as a gun, a grappling hook, a ghost arm thing, which wasn't my favorite. A portal gun makes its return, and you can split your soul into 2 for solving puzzles, plus you can even time travel. The grappling hook wasn't too terrible, but there were times where I would be in midair and instead of locking on to where I needed to grapple to, Death would pull out his gun and start shooting. You don't have to have the grappling hook selected to use it when you are platforming, but it almost seems best to have it selected so you don't accidentally start shooting your gun. When your soul splits in 2, it is mostly used for puzzle solving, but it really made you think hard when it came to these puzzles. There are 3 parts to manage. You can control 2 deaths, and you also have a statue that you leave behind as well. You can't go too far from the statue or else it'll reset. Plus, when you do want to link back up with your other half, it spawns you back to where the statue is. Solving these puzzles was actually pretty fun. There are times where you have to split your soul leaving the statue on a platform you can push around, while there are other times where you have to play catch with yourself throwing a bomb over a ledge or through a portal. The puzzles in Darksiders 2 were a lot of fun. They weren't too hard where I needed to look up a walkthrough, but they weren't too easy either. They were just the right amount of puzzle. It was really nice. The boss fights throughout this journey were epic. Most of the boss fights felt really good and were satisfying. The one fight in particular that was really fun was when you give life to this colossal statue and then you have to fight it. It felt good fighting the bosses in this game, plus the executions were so freaking cool I couldn't help but scream "Hell yeah!" every time I slayed a boss. Most of the bosses and characters look really good too, even though this game takes on a more cartoony look as opposed to more realism like, say, a Souls game. The graphics in the Deathinitive Edition were actually really good. There are plenty of breathtaking scenes, from colorful green mountains to fiery skies in hell. I really like the variety of places you go to. Every section feels different with new characters and ways for you to go about traversing the landscape. You go to hell, heaven, and even to the city of the dead, which was really cool. That brings up another point though that I didn't really jive with, was how many dungeons there were. There are 11 main dungeons that you venture through, plus 8 side dungeons you can explore, and then Earth if you count that as a dungeon. So 20 in total. Usually I don't complain when you get more content in a game, but when it came to these dungeons, it felt like there were so many of them and they didn't last very long. Don't get me wrong, some dungeons were really fun, and it's not like I got bored at any point while playing the game, but you could tell that some were more thought out with better puzzles while others felt rushed. One dungeon that I thought was really cool but didn't last very long was the dungeon in hell. It's also the same dungeon where you get the time traveling gauntlet, but since the dungeon wasn't very long, I felt like I didn't get to really use the gauntlet all that much. There were a lot of parts throughout the game that felt rushed, the story included. When you get to hell, you meet this sexy demon chick, who turns out to be your mom in a way because she created the Nephilim, which is Death's race. She says she wants you to bring the Nephilim back from the dead, but you find out you can either save the Nephilim or the humans. So after Death makes it to the Well of Souls, he fights Absalom again, but this time the corruption version, and kills him. Then he sacrifices himself along with the Nephilim to bring back humanity. Yeah, this ending felt very abrupt and rushed, but that being said, it didn't ruin the game for me. I was very confused on when this game takes place as opposed to the first one, and it turns out that they run parallel to each other. While War was imprisoned for 100 years, Death was off doing his thing trying to clear his name. That being said, even though Death sacrificed himself, we know that he comes back because the first came, so everyone's happy, yay! I think Darksiders 2 achieved just what its intended purpose was, to be better than the first one, and in my opinion, it was. The movement and combat are amazing, the puzzle solving was way more innovative, and the boss fights were epic. The story may have been a bit rushed and lackluster, but the gameplay makes up for it. Plus, Death is a very good character that was a lot of fun to play and interact with. This was an overall fun and engaging game, and I recommend it to all who enjoy a good puzzle-solving adventure game with button-mashing badassery. Wait, what happens next? You blue-balled me. I thought we were gonna find out what happens to war.
You and everyone else, buddy.
So you're telling me I'm gonna have to play the next game to find out what happens?
Or I can just tell you.
Really?
Nah, just kidding. I hate you. See ya, Call me if war ever comes back.
No!
See you in Darksiders 3,